Hi guys, this is Nightmare3464. Oh my god, Masky. He's after Serena. I wonder what Serena's gonna do. Leave with Masky or stay with Jeff? Anyway, let's continue. Chapter 5. I woke all of a sudden of the feeling that I was being watched. I opened my eyes and looked around. I was laying on my right side, and what was in view was the door of the room and the desk and the laptop. Sitting up, I looked to my left, almost screaming. A hand covered my mouth. My dark ocean blue eyes looked at the person whose hand was covering my mouth, only to be met with a mask. A white with black female lips and printed eyebrows on it. In dark blue eyes, stared at me though the darkness of the mask. I don't know the person wearing a yellow hoodie with the hood up, but you could see his messy brown hair sticking out. I stared at him intensely. I almost couldn't blink from fear. A moment, my right eye caught something. Another masked person stood there. His mask was black with red eyes and what I guess was a frown, and he wore the similar hoodie, but this person didn't have hair sticking out. My face turned to the one that was holding my mouth. He was looking at me intensely. I could look back, holding my mouth, and as he spoke. "It's okay, Serena. We're not here to hurt you." What I guess it was a teenager, calm. I blinked. How did he know my name? In fact, who is he? He slowly took his hand from my mouth, and I glared at him. I almost couldn't speak of fear of the masked boys. How do you know my name?" I stuttered, my eyes filled with fear. He blinked and then turned his head slightly, watching me shake. Then as he stared. "I know everything about you, Serena. I'm Masky. I've been watching you for a long while now." Curiosity came over my face as I stared at him. "Watching me? For how long?" Expectedly, he knows a lot about me. He noticed my look and chuckled slightly. "You're so cute, Serena. I do know everything about you, like your favorite animal is a horse, your favorite color is black and purple, that you always wear your favorite tank top shirt that says Nightmare on it when you're happy." "Mask, we got a problem," Masky's partner said, staring at the door where we heard someone coming in. It sounded like footsteps entering the factory. Masky's point of view. I looked at Hoodie, who was wondering what was he talking about. Then I heard sounds like a door shutting below me. It caught my attention. Jeff. He's back. Shit! We better grab Serena and get out of here fast. I quickly looked back at Serena. I licked my arms under her legs and back and tried picking her up bride style, but she protested and made it a bit more difficult than I hoped. "Hey, let me go!" she screamed. Then I heard the footsteps downstairs begin to run. I looked at Hoodie, who turned and led over to the window. Serena was fighting so much before that I could jump out. I switched the position while I was holding her. I threw her over my shoulders. I was ready to follow Hoodie when the door slammed open. I looked back to see Jeff. He was very pissed off on his face. "Masky, what the hell are you doing with Serena?" Serena looked up and gasped. "Jeff!" she said before reaching for him. Jeff bolted towards me, and I quickly turned back, about to jump off from the window before he grabbed my jacket. I leaned against gratefully, then anticipated, but catching myself, then I darted after Hoodie, who was waiting for me. When I reached him, we both ran to an abandoned shack that we called home. Jeff's point of view. "Damn it, how can I be so stupid, leaving Serena alone? That's probably is the stupidest thing I ever done. Now she's in the hands of Masky and Hoodie. Who knows what will happen?" I quickly ran out of the large factory, chasing after them. I stopped looking around which way they'd gone. "Shit!" I cursed and slamming my fist into a nearby tree. I knew I shouldn't have left her now. She's gone with those two, and who will know they have murdered her already? I repeated, hitting my fist to the tree with my anger, calming down no matter how many punches I did. My knuckles began to bleed. I stopped with one last punch, leaning against an oak tree. I sat up and stared at the sky, questioning my eyes, shining, looking down at the ground. My head turned back when I heard a familiar bark entering my drum ears. I turned to my right to see something big on four legs running towards me. A husky-looking dog with a large smile, jumping on me upon reaching my back and barking. My cut smile widened to see him. "Smiles!" I cheered, hugging him, letting him back down to his four legs. He stared up at me with his golden eyes and as I pet his head. "Hey, Jeffy!" I knew Smile saw something out here. My eyes traveled back to where Smile had came from. I glared. It was Ben. A boy who ran around my age, with blonde hair and wearing weird elf clothes. Trailing up behind Smile with his creepy-ass smile, I cocked an eyebrow at him. "What are you doing here?" I asked. Confused, why were they here all of a sudden? Were they sent by Slenderman? I don't know. "We came looking for you. Where have you been? None of us have seen you for a while." Masky and hoodie hat, probably. "I've been living here," I answered, guessing to the forest, and Ben looked around and cocked an eyebrow, looking at me. "Here? Well, this is boring." I was a little mad by his answer, but I didn't care. With the task in hand, I looked around again. Ben noticed me staring and looking, too. "What are you looking for, Jeffy?" I scolded. I hated that nickname. I looked back at Ben and Smile. Smile was tilting his head in confusion while I was talking to Ben. Barking again, we walked away. Ben looked at me and smiled, wondering why he was smiling. "Smelling? Whatever." "What is it, Smiles?" The Smile dog stopped and looked back at us. His golden eyes stared for a moment, then he turned back, beginning walking again, sniffing the ground. He was heading back to the factory, so I just followed him along with Ben. What harm could they do, right? We reached the factory as they both stared up at it. Ben looked at me, then back. "You knowing, I guess this is where you've been hiding." I only looked at him with an unblinkable stare. He smirked at me and then turned back to the building. "Cozy," he smirked, saying before walking in. Smile looked at me and then followed me and Ben inside. I showed them around the place as we reached the room where me and Serena were sleeping. Smile stopped midway and started sniffing the ground. He walked over to the sleeping bag and began sniffing it. He growled and looked back at me and Ben. Ben stared confusedly why was the demon dog all of a sudden was growling. I knew why. It was Serena's scent. I froze. I watched Smile sniffed, and the idea grew in my head. Only one thing is to get Ben and Smiles to agree to it. "You had someone in here, haven't you?" Ben smirked again. I looked was looking at me. I stared in a moment, then looked away. He smirked, widened as he grew more curious. "So where are they? A victim?" I keep looking away as blush started coming on my face. I thought of Serena. Sadly, Ben's eyes caught the red on my cheeks, and he grew a large grin on his face. "I see. So, who is she, Jeff?" Seeing the blush making me think of her more. I didn't know what to do. "Is she your girlfriend, maybe?" My face burned up even more than I teased and with my long black hair trying to cover my face. But Ben noticed my reaction and began laughing. "Oh, Jeffy's got a girlfriend! Jeffy's got a girlfriend!" I shot angry eyes at him from the embarrassment now. "She's not my girlfriend. She's just someone, you were crushing on her?" I stared slowly and then nodded. Ben began smirking again, and I tried my best to ignore it. I looked back at Smile. He was watching him as he continued sniffing the bag. I began remembering the idea. Then I looked towards the window. Ben noticed and laughed as he fell over and looked at me. "So where is she?" he asked. Noticing that there was no female around, I blanked and came out of my thoughts. "She got taken by Masky and Hoodie." Ben looked a bit surprised by my answer. "Masky and Hoodie? They're around here too?" I shook my head. "No, not anymore. They only came to take Serena, that's it." Ben looked away and began thinking of the situation. Then he came back to me. "Well, I guess we have to look for them, won't we?" It gave me a surprised look. I had no idea Ben wants to go look for Serena all of a sudden. "Well, really? You want to help me look for her?" He nodded. "Well, yeah, I want to meet this girl who captured the insane heart of Jeff the Killer." He smirked, folding his arms. My cut smile widened. "Well, then agreed to heading out tomorrow night to find them. Well, tonight, about 3 of us started practicing how to kill Slenderman's proxies. It wasn't going to be easy." Serena's point of view. The sky was darkened, making the room where I sat even more creepier than before. I sat on the edge of the old bed in the abandoned house of the bedroom. I stared at the musty window in the room. Rain was passing against it. It had a nice thing to look at. I wanted to go outside and dance in the rain to wash all my troubles away. I thought of Jeff, wondering what is he doing. I wonder, is he looking for me? I stopped thinking about it as my eyes darted back at the door as the door opened slowly, appearing the boy with the white and black mask, with deep blue eyes, looking at me, then shutting the door behind him. He walked over to me and sat beside me, keeping some distance between me and him from making me feel uncomfortable, but it was a little too late for that, seeing that I was uncomfortable. Just being alone with him was bad enough. He stared at me as I did. "What?" I asked, cocking an eyebrow at him. He blinked and realized he was staring. "You're beautiful," he muttered and looked away. I couldn't help but blush spread over my face and my cheeks. And that I looked away as well. I had never had anyone like me before, as far as I knew, than Jeff telling me he was the only person who ever told me. Now this person was telling me that. I guess he went by the name Masky after hearing the other masked boy call him that. So I couldn't help but keep my cheeks from turning red from his compliment. He looked back at me and then leaned in. I saw him getting closer by the corner of my eye. I looked up in just a few inches. My nose was touching his mask. I blinked all of a sudden and then I froze. He stared at me into my deep ocean blue eyes. I began to move back, but he grabbed my head with his hand and pulled me back to him. This time resisting, he began lifting his mask above his lips. I was scared by the closeness that we were. I tried pulling back a few inches from him as he grabbed the side of his mask, pulling it up slightly above his lips. I wondered what he was going to do. Shock came on my face as he was close a few inches. Then he covered and slightly placed his lips upon mine. It was a sweet kiss. It didn't last that long. Then he turned his head to get a better angle. Well, I think he was doing that. I sat there surprised. Jeff's face flooded my mind. I barely noticed that Masky pulled back and confused on his face. "What's wrong? Didn't you like it?" he asked, pulling his mask back down. As he stared at me, I just looked away. Jeff was in my mind. I couldn't kiss Masky back because of him. But why? What's so special about that murderer that I felt towards him? But what especially do I feel? Masky saw me turn away and then glared, knowing why I didn't kiss back. It's Jeff, isn't it? My attention darted back to him and looking surprised. How did he know that? I couldn't say anything, but my mind turned blank. My eyes had the blank expression staring at him with unease. So what was the point? Masky watched my expression go to blank as he glared into darkness and rage filled his blood. Damn, Jeff, why does she like Jeff? Why not him? The boy who was actually been the one there for her, watching over her, protecting her, loving her, even though she didn't know about him. But still, he still cared for her. He had been stalking her for more than half a year now. He truly began to care deeply for her, but now he was going to lose her to that asshole. No, he wouldn't have it. Jumping to his feet and making me jump a little by all the sudden of the movement from the boy, then he turned away from me, facing the window. All I saw his back as he stared out into the window in the direction in his eyes he was going to do. He saw no other way but to show her how much he cared. I can't lose you to him. Not now. Not after how long you've been in my mind. I stared into his back in confusion. Losing me? He never had me. Had he? And to who? Jeff? Everything was so confusing. What are you talking about? I started, wishing I hadn't, but slightly afraid of his reaction. I wasn't sure, but guessing this guy was a killer like Jeff, seeing they knowed each other. He didn't turn to look at me, but he only peeked by the corner of his eye. I love you, Serena. I won't lose you to Jeff. Not now. Not ever. I was shocked by the simple 3 words that escaped his lips. He loved me. Well, he did tell me that he's been following me for a long time, and I was wondering how long was he was stalking me. Masky, not hearing an answer, he slightly moved only one way. I guess there's no other choice. I don't like doing this, but if there was only one way is the only way, so be it. He muttered out loud so I could hear him. Then he slowly reached his hand up to his face and grabbed the white and black mask by the side, breathing out as he pulled it up. His head was resting slightly as he placed the lower side of his mask on his left hand and gripping it. My eyes widened as I stared, watching him deeply in breathing. I feel strange because the boy without the mask. After one last breath, I caught clean of my nerves and fist, now facing the maskless boy.